In other news, this Monday afternoon, the impeachment trial of suspended Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton resumed today.
The prosecution called 3 witnesses, a whistleblower, Paxton's former chief of staff, and an attorney who worked in the Public Integrity Unit at the Travis County DA's office.
KVUE's Ford Sanders joins us live from inside the state capitol, where testimony continues this afternoon. And Ford, 2 of those witnesses today say they warned General Paxton about his behavior, not only related to Austin real estate investor Nate Paul, but also about the affair.
Brian Quito, well, these former top aides to Paxton echoed what we all heard last week. They told Paxton to stay away from Paul, but say that Paxton, well, he just wouldn't listen. Well, the first witness on the stand this morning was Mark Penley. He's Paxton's former deputy AG of criminal justice. He's one of the whistleblowers who was fired. Penley says Paxton charged him with listening to and investigating Paul's claims that federal authorities were conspiring against him. Penley said forensic examiners with the AG's office found no evidence of Paul's claim that the federal search warrant on his properties were altered, and he wanted to end the investigation. But he says Paxton felt differently, and Paul wanted the AG's office to investigate.
The idea that the state of Texas Attorney General's office would go investigate the federal courthouse, investigate federal agents and also state agents that were task force officers on the raid, and that those were agents from the DPS and the State Securities Board, that we would investigate a federal magistrate judge and federal prosecutors was insane.
The next witness was Catherine Missy Carey. Now, Carey worked in the AG's office for more than 20 years and was Paxton's chief of staff. Get this, she's the first woman to hold that position. Carey says, though, in 2018, she was having a lunch in Austin and overheard a conversation between a man and woman that caused her concern. After a slew of heated objections from the defense, Carey said she believed the woman was Laura Olson, whom she later learned Paxton was having an affair with. Carey mentions a meeting she had with Paxton and his wife, Angela, where he confessed to the affair.
Would it be fair to say that General Paxton confessed the affair to all of you?
I think that'd be a fair characterization.
Okay. Did he apologize to all of you as a group?
Did.
Okay. Describe that experience very briefly, if you would, please.
An uncomfortable experience. It's an experience I had not had before in my life. Somber, be a word I'd use.
How did General Paxton's wife take it? How was she responding?
It was sad and embarrassed, I believe. That was my impression.
Carey says after the meeting, she believed Paxton ended the affair, but later learned that was not the case. Carey handled Paxton's security detail and says the members of the detail complained to her about the hours they were having to work and places they had to go with the AG as he carried out his affair. Well, right now, Greg Cox is on the stand. He worked in the Travis County District Attorney's Office in their Public Integrity Unit. That unit was also they looked into some of those allegations against Paxton. We're actually going to have more of that coming up tonight at 6. Live from the Texas State Capitol, Ford Sanders, KVUE News.
All right, Ford, thanks a lot. Let's bring in KVUE's managing editor of political content, Ashley Godot. Ashley, Cox still on the stand. They're taking a bit of a break now. But he was telling jurors today the Public Integrity Unit was actually looking into General Paxton.
Not only were they just looking into him, but for a laundry list of possible violations is what he said. And he says that so many of those possible violations were tied to Nate Paul, because he talked about this and there was a bit of a pushback from Busby, who said, well, none of this went anywhere. We heard him saying that. So, why are you, this isn't his, he's objecting. Why are we even bringing this up? Why are we putting this on the screen for people to see? And then we heard why those allegations didn't go anywhere. And Cox is telling the jurors that it's because so much of this was tied to Nate Paul, and they knew in the Travis County DA's office, they knew that Nate Paul was under a federal investigation. And so they did not want to interfere with that federal investigation. In fact, he talks about setting up a meeting with the U.S. Attorney's Office, some of the local attorneys there, to talk about what exactly was happening, because they didn't want to cross ties. You don't want to mess that up.
Now, Ashley, a lot of people want to know, including ourselves, What is the timeline for all of this? When is this actually going to be in the hands of a jury?
Yeah, some interesting notes on that today. So when we started the day today, Lieutenant Governor Dean Patrick kind of gave both sides an update. They only have 24 hours to present their arguments and do their cross-examination. And they've already, at the start of the day, they had about 14 and a half hours left, which means we expect this trial to go to the jury, this case to go to the senators by the end of this week. We're talking Thursday or Friday. And Patrick made it clear that they are going to work nonstop until they are done, which means once it's in the hands of the Senate, we will work through the weekend. There will be no off days. We will be here until we get a verdict.
And that's just a vote, right? They don't deliberate per se.
No, they do deliberate. So that this is them going in the back,
Okay.
deliberating. This is what Senator Angela Paxton is not allowed to be a part of for however long it takes for them to decide each article.
16 of them. All right. Thanks, Ashley.
Of course.
And for complete gavel-to-gavel coverage every day, you can watch the impeachment trial live on KVUE+. Look for KVUE on Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV. And you can also find us on KVUE.com and the KVUE YouTube channel.